All right. So here's the thing. Some people talk about law and order like the law is a holy book. But the second the law blocks what they want, they treat it like a receipt they can tear up and toss. And we are watching that exact move happen in a House Homeland Security Committee hearing with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. What you are about to see is not confusion, it's control. Let's watch what happened, and I will give you my take at the end of it.
Secretary Noem, let's talk about the law. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right, so immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that...
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
It's a lawful pathway.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with...
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed
I'm asking you.
people to come
I'm
in
asking
and
you.
granted asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president,
if your department
your secretary
deports
did not
anyone
follow the law
with an ongoing
those
asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was broken under the last...
Mr. Chairman, I will reclaim my time. She's not answering the question. But the obvious answer is that, yes, if you follow a lawful pathway, asylum is a lawful pathway. If you have an open asylum case, you are here lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country is that you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law. Bring it to us. We'll work with you. I think it needs to be changed. But you can't just decide that you're not going to follow the law, and asylum is a law, and deport people who have ongoing applications. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happening. It's happening across the street from my office right in New York City. Numerous, thousands of people who have come to court appearances, have left them with open asylum applications, have been arrested. And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not. It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
I'm yours. Come on, man.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is
I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me yet?
I'm actually surprised that you haven't gotten it. I'm going to ask my staff about that.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised because generally speaking,
hundreds
you do
and
not
hundreds,
respond
if not
to
thousands
us.
of your letters.
Now, the other problem that we are
Mayorkas, when he had
seeing
this
all
job,
over
didn't
the
respond to letters
country
for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police Act to stop this. And we now have 113 co-sponsors so that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked, plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual
Gentleman's
officers
time is
are identified.
time has expired.
I yield
I
back.
recognize gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gonzalez, 5 minutes.
Dan Goldman starts with the most basic question on earth. Not a trick, not a trap, just a yes or no reality check. Is asylum a lawful pathway to be in the United States? Because if the answer is yes, then their illegal performance falls apart. And that's the point. Goldman asks her straight up, do you agree asylum is a lawful pathway? Yes or no? Noem says, there's an asylum program, yes. And that is the first tell. Because he didn't ask if a program exists. He asked if it's lawful. She's already trying to wiggle out of the legal consequence. And that's the point. So Goldman tightens it. He asks the follow-up that makes her answer matter. If someone has an ongoing asylum application, they are here legally, correct? And you can literally feel the room change right there. Because she knows what correct does. Correct means DHS can't pretend those people are unauthorized. Correct means deporting them mid-process is not tough. It's unlawful. So she starts burning clock. She asks for clarification. She starts talking around it. She starts throwing fog into the microphone. And Goldman is not letting her hide in fog. And that's the point. He forces the sentence. He makes her say it. They're here legally because asylum is lawful, right? And she finally concedes it. It's a lawful pathway. Boom. Now the whole hearing becomes a legal math problem. If asylum is lawful, and these people are here lawfully, then deporting them while their case is still open is violating the law. So Goldman asks the only question that matters now. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct? And this is where Noem does the most revealing thing of the entire exchange. She doesn't say no. She doesn't say yes. She tries to run. She pivots to the previous administration like that's a magical force field. And Goldman snaps it back immediately. I'm not asking about them. I'm asking about you. Answer the question. And when she still won't answer, he says what everyone at home is thinking. Why are you filibustering? That line hits because it's not rude. It's accurate. She's not testifying. She's stalling. And that's the point. So here's the translation in normal English. The government is being asked if it's following the rules it didn't get to invent. And the answer is so inconvenient that the secretary can't bring herself to say it out loud. Because once you admit it's illegal, you don't get to keep doing it and call it enforcement. You get called what you are. And that's where this gets dangerous. Now Goldman doesn't leave it as a debate club moment. He drags it into the real world, into a real building, with real families. Because this isn't theoretical. This is happening in New York City around immigration court, where people show up because the system tells them to show up. And instead of due process, they get a hallway ambush. If you turn the courthouse into a trap, you don't just arrest people. You destroy compliance. You teach everyone one lesson. Following the rules gets you punished. And that's the point. Then Goldman brings up the incident that makes your stomach drop. The viral video at 26 Federal Plaza, at the Jacob K. Javits building, Lower Manhattan. An i.c.e. officer shoves a woman to the ground while her family is right there, cameras everywhere. And he's saying, adios. Not, step back. Not, ma'am. Adios. That is not law enforcement professionalism. That is humiliation. And that's the point. Now here's where the receipt becomes devastating. Because DHS didn't deny it. DHS put out a statement. They called the conduct unacceptable. They said it was beneath the men and women of i.c.e. They said the officer was relieved of duties. They promised a full investigation. Their words, their framing, their PR. And that's why the next part is the timeline dagger. 3 days. Less than 72 hours. That officer is back on duty. So let me ask you the obvious question. What kind of full investigation fits inside a weekend? What kind of accountability takes shorter time than a shipping refund? And that's where this gets dangerous. Because if the public statement is unacceptable, but the internal action is welcome back, then unacceptable is just a costume. It's not a standard. It's not discipline. It's a press release. And that's the point. Goldman asks Noem the only question that matters at that moment. If you said it was beneath i.c.e., why did you reinstate him? And Noem's answer is basically, Oh, the investigation is done. We can provide it. But listen to how insane that is. If you can provide it now, why didn't you provide it when asked? Why did Congress have to chase you for it? Why is oversight treated like a nuisance? That's not paperwork. That's a power play. And that's the point. Now Goldman pulls the second thread, and this one is bigger than one officer. Masked, plainclothes immigration enforcement. No clear identification. No visible insignia. People getting grabbed in public while nobody can tell if it's a federal arrest or a kidnapping. This is the part where you ask yourself, if they are the good guys, why are they dressed like they don't want to be recognized? If it's lawful, why does it look like a snatch crew? If it's public safety, why are they building public panic? And that's where this gets dangerous. Because here's the spillover nobody wants to talk about. A resident sees masked men dragging someone and calls 911. A dispatcher sends local police. Local police show up thinking it's a violent crime in progress. And then you have uniformed cops colliding with masked federal agents who won't clearly identify themselves. That is how tragedies happen. That is how misunderstandings turn into bullets. And that's the point. And this is exactly why Goldman points to his legislation, the No Secret Police Act, because the standard should be simple. If you are taking someone's freedom in public, you do not get to do it anonymously. No mask, clear ID, visible insignia. Not because we're being soft, because we're trying to live in a country where law enforcement is accountable to the public it polices. And that's the point. So what does this actually mean? It means they want the benefits of legitimacy without paying the price of accountability. They want to call it the law while treating the law like optional guidance. They want to call people illegal even when those people are in the legal process. And they want to normalize force in places where the public is supposed to feel protected, not hunted. It's not security. It's intimidation. And that's the point. So here is where we stand. A cabinet secretary can't give a straight answer about a straight legal consequence. A federal agency calls an incident unacceptable, promises a full investigation, and then quietly puts the officer back on duty in less than 72 hours. And masked, plainclothes immigration enforcement is being treated like normal, even though it creates confusion that can get civilians and local police hurt. This isn't about border security. That is the distraction. This is about whether the government is bound by law, or whether law is just a word they use on you. When they say illegal, they don't mean against the law. They mean against our agenda. And if the law becomes a suggestion box, the next step is always the same. The box disappears, and all that's left is force. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks so much for watching.